Good morning, Chica Pies. How we doing? How we feeling? Oh my goodness. Happy Tuesday. I just gassed up my vehicle. It's that HEB again. This is gonna be like my favorite gas up spot. Okay, Chick, are you gonna just keep on coming or what? Yeah, the gas is still pretty cheap. It's like cheaper than anywhere else. So I'm like, yes, I'm loving that. So I'm literally like right down the street from work. I don't feel like vlogging earlier. I don't know. I was listening to the second date update. I got in the car just right when it started, and I should have turned it on. Would you guys like for me to do like at least like maybe one day a week where I actually just let you guys hear the whole second date update from the start part to the finish part? I think it was Aren't You Lovely that wanted to hear the end of one of them the other day, and I don't know which one it was that I was listening to, so I was like, I don't know which one it is, and I have to go back. I have to search the video, whatever. Oops. Hey there, Chica Pies. How we doing? How we feeling? Happy Tuesday. It is about, what time is it? It's almost, oh gosh, it's like 20 minutes till 6. I got stuck outside chatting with Merced, and so it's way past the time that I walked out of my job. So I'm like, oh my goodness. My grandson was supposed to have a basketball, Lord have mercy, y'all, a t-ball game today, but it's been pushed back till Thursday. So I am actually just kind of headed home. And I'm kind of disappointed because I'm like, man, Thursday I'm supposed to go do happy hour with my girlfriend. But that's okay. I will leave the game, go home, change, and the happy hour that we do is actually really about 7 o'clock. So I'll push it back to about 7:30, and we'll stay for a little bit because I'll run home, take a quick showering, and you know, like already have my clothes ready to change into and head right on back out the door and just spend a couple hours out with her. We're just, you know, we try to do something because she likes to get out, and I like to have a little bit of enjoyment too, just, you know, hanging with the girls, or girl I should say. So yeah, so anyway, so Thursday is his game now instead of today. So yeah, so I gassed up this morning, which was good. I've learned something about this car is when my car, Betsy I should say, when I would be filling her up, when it clicked, it was like to the mouth. Like basically you had maybe you could put 50 cents more worth of gas in there, but no more than that. This one, when she pops, she still can hold probably another $3 or $4 worth of gas. Like, it's weird. And I stopped this morning when she popped, and I can tell that it's not pulled all the way up to the top. So I'm like, darn it. But that's okay. I'll gas up again. I'll probably gas up again like on Friday, because I'm really liking the prices of this gas tank here, or gas pump here. So I'm gonna be doing HEB at least until they decide to raise their prices back up crazy or anything like that. So they're not as cheap as they were, but they're still pretty cheap. So I'm still loving paying those prices. So, but yeah, so I was outside just conversing, and you know, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get going, because I'm trying to get back into the gym. I went yesterday. I'm going again this evening, and yeah. So yeah, y'all, it's so hard sometimes. It's like, sometimes I'm like, I'm just exhausted, and like I get home and I'm just like, oh, I don't want to be bothered. I'm just keeping it real, because that's really how I feel sometimes. But today I am going. So yeah, so what can we talk about today on our way home? Okay, so I think what we're going to talk about today on our ride home is just significant others having respect for the other person in their life, and knowing and showing that they really care about them. You guys know I like to take real life events and I turn them into conversations. And so again, you know, reflecting back to some conversations I've had, like with my friends, like I said, I've discussed with a male friend and I've discussed with a female friend, just in general, to get, like, you know, both sides of the, you know, both perspectives, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, so I kind of want to talk about that today on our ride home. So, you know, when you're in a relationship, whether it's husband, wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, no matter what it might be, like when, you know, it is one thing, like, okay, for example, which I like to cook, I don't love to cook. Like, I mean, I enjoy cooking, I don't mind cooking, but I mean, it's okay. Like, I don't mind it, but I'm not a real, like, oh my God, I'm a fanatic for cooking. I want to go home and cook. I want to go home and bake or whatever. So let's just say I was so in love with baking, and I love making brownies and cookies and cakes and oh my, you know, like all kinds of fancy stuff. And so my significant other, like, you know, and this is hypothetical because I don't really do all that kind of cooking, okay, y'all? So I'm just saying, I'm putting this out there that this is really just me saying, like, hypothetical, truly hypothetical. But let's just say I have a significant other and I'm, you know, baking them brownies and baking them cookies and baking them cakes and baking them pies. But my significant other really isn't really into that. But they're accepting of it because I'm doing it for, you know, like they're like, okay, this person's taking the time out to bake me cookies, to bake me brownies. I'm going to be thankful. I'm going to say thank you, blase, blase. Now, the real benefit in that is not coming from the fact that I'm doing this for my significant other. The benefit is that I'm doing something that I really like. So inadvertently, I am pleasing myself. I'm not really concerned about my significant other, because if I was concerned about my significant other, and let's mind you, the significant other has said, you know, hey, you know, you don't have to do all this for me. Like, I'm really not into sweets that much anyway, blase, blase. But yet I keep on doing it. So I'm doing it at this point for my own self-satisfaction. I am pleasing myself. My significant other is not getting anything from it other than gaining a few pounds. So what I'm saying is that we in relationships need to be cognizant of how the other person perceives the things that we're doing for them. It's kind of like when you get a gift. Like, I'll give you a prime example. My friend Terry and I, yes, on Sunday, we went to Comfort, Texas. As you all know, you've seen this video by now. And she gave me this ring for my birthday. Her intentions were to get me a mug. We didn't find a mug. Now, when I saw this ring, I was so in love with it. I was like, it fits that bohemian side of me. Like, I totally like it. But because I had already picked out a couple other things, and my price point, if I bought anything, I was not spending more than $20 on that day. And so this ring was $20 by itself, and I had already made a purchase of two other things that had cost me $17. So I was not going to buy myself that ring. But I was admiring it, and I was like, oh my God, it's so pretty. Not admiring it, asking, oh, I want somebody to go and buy this for me, just saying it's really pretty. And then I was like, you know, having that conversation with myself. Okay, girl, do you go against what you said and buy this ring anyway, or do you stick to your guns? So I'm telling myself I need to stick to my gun. And I need not to purchase the ring. But Terry looked into my eyes, and she could see the excitement that I was feeling for the ring. Now, mind you, she figured the coffee mug was probably going to cost, you know, probably about 20 bucks or somewhere in there to get like a really nice mug. Because, you know, like in those kinds of places, things are, in that place was really overpriced. But, you know, when you go to those kind of like gift type stores, they can really jack up their prices. And she was hoping to get a really nice mug. So like she said, I plan to spend about, I figured I'd probably spend at least $20 anyhow. And while I think that ring is ugly, I don't see the point of it, but I can see that it makes you happy. And that's what gifts are supposed to be about. I'm supposed to give a gift based on what I feel someone else would enjoy, not so much what I would enjoy. So my point being, she was able to recognize the fact that while she may not have ever thought to purchase this ring like on her own, like if she went out shopping in the store, she probably would not have picked this ring up for me in a million years. But because we were there side by side and she could see how happy it was making me, she wanted to give me the gift of happiness. Now, that is how you give gifts. That is how, whether you're a best friend to best friend, whether you are a co-worker to a co-worker, whether you are, and especially if you're a husband to a wife or a wife to a husband, boyfriend to girlfriend, girlfriend to boyfriend, you get the point. So, that's a scenario that to me is a prime example of how we are to be cognizant of the other person's feelings. So another really good example, my son just had a birthday. He turned 31 on the 4th of July. Now my son has a father that is like when he was younger, and I'm not knocking Walmart, y'all, get me straight. I'm just saying, when you are in your early teens, like you're just getting into the double digits. I say not necessarily teens, but you're getting into the double digits. You kind of feeling yourself. You kind of like noticing, like, you know, you kind of looking at those girls on the side, but you're not really knowing how you feel about them. But you start to really care about how you look in those, when you get into those double digits. Like you really get concerned. So my son was no different than any other, you know, 10, 11, 12-year-old kid. I think he was probably about 11 years old when he'd gone to his dad's for the summer. And now mind you, I've never had a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money when I don't have a lot of money now, but I certainly didn't have a lot of money back then. Now, I would plan to buy his clothes very carefully. I shop sales, I use coupons, but I always tried to keep him in the most latest fashions that I possibly could. He'd gone to spend, as always, his summers with his father, which you all know, I mentioned to you before, or maybe I haven't, but my son always had to spend his entire summer basically with his father, which meant he was always there for his birthday. So that is why his birthdays are so special to me. But that's another whole story. So I mentioned to my son one day, I said, hey, while you're with your dad this summer, like, why don't you ask him to take you school shopping? Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, because I haven't raised your child support, dude, and like, I could really use the help because I spend this blank amount of money that you send me every month. It's barely making us survive. And, excuse me, I spend a blank amount of money every month that I'm getting from you into this household, and our son is getting older and his clothes are getting more expensive, and you know the activities that he involves himself in, these are all things that cost more money. So I kind of say it to my son, like, you know, hey, like, get your dad to take you shopping. That might be kind of fun. You know, I make it sound like it's like a cool thing to do. So my son was like, yeah, Mom, maybe I can find some clothes on, you know, there that I wouldn't find here. And and I was like, yeah. So he tells his dad, hey, Dad, how about you take me shopping for some school clothes? So my son was all excited because his dad agreed. Yep, I'm going to take you school shopping. So guess what? They go out the door. They head out to go school shopping. And he pulls into Walmart's parking lot. Now, again, mind you, Walmart, I ain't hating on you, okay? I shop at Walmart to this day. I mean, I do. I love certain things. I can find me some good little t-shirts and stuff like that. I'm not knocking Walmart. I'm just saying, when you are in your 2 digits and you're getting into your double digits for the first time as a young boy or young girl, there is just something negative about shopping at Walmart, especially if you're not accustomed to that. Now, mind you, again, I will remind you, I didn't have a lot of money during those days. But I did know that I could spend the same amount of money that I was spending in Walmart and get him some more in tune with clothing, if you will. I just had to apply a little bit of time and effort, and I was willing to go the whole 9 yards to please my son, to put that smile on his face. So my son came home and he was like, you know, he came back and he unpacked his suitcase, and there were these probably about 5 or 6 shirts, and he had them, and that's all he got him, mind you. He got him like 5 or 6 shirts. He didn't get him anything else. And he set them on the bed, and he goes, Mom, Dad took me shopping, but he took me to Walmart. And I could see like the disappointment on his face, and I was like, oh, son, you know, like, well, let's look at them. Maybe they're not as bad as you think they are. You know, they're just t-shirts. And mind you, they weren't that bad. They were just plain t-shirts. They didn't have any oomph to them or anything exciting about them. So I kind of told him, I said, hey, you know, this is kind of when they were starting to layer things back in that time frame. And so I was like, hey, you know, I get your button down. You can wear it underneath one of your button downs or whatever. And so that's kind of how we ended up, you know, like he ended up wearing the shirt. Now, the shirts didn't do it for my son, but my ex-husband, his father, was pleasing himself. He wanted to give him something that would make him happy. Now, mind you, again, I will say, this man had plenty of money, not like wealthy or anything, but you know, like military, double income family, because he's remarried. You know, they're not hurting for money by any means. Even with the little bit of money that he was paying me for child support, who hadn't been raised since the day that we were divorced, and it should have been raised probably about 4 times at this point, okay? So it wasn't like this would have put him out, it would have hurt him in any form. He was perfectly capable of taking my son to a nice department store and spending a couple of $100s, if not a little bit more, on some really nice clothing. But that's not his personality. So let me say, for the first time, and my ex and I actually kind of chatted about it a little bit the other day, but he called my daughter-in-law and asked my daughter-in-law, what is it that would make my son, our son, happy for his birthday? For the first time in 31 years, this man actually gave a gift based off of the love that you have for the person and not the love that you have for yourself, if you follow me. So I'm saying all of this to say, it is amazing to me how people don't get this, especially in relationships. You know, I am not a complicated person, and I don't ask for a lot of things, but there are a few things in life that actually just make me really, really happy. Now, any significant other in my life at any given point of my life that I've ever had should be cognizant of that. And any significant other that you have in your life should be cognizant of that. They should look at you, and it's not about spending like, oh, you know, I only like things that cost X amount of dollars and up. I only want diamonds and rubies and pearls. No, that's not the game. I could really like, okay, like this ring right here. It's a $20 ring. It's not like it broke the bank. Now, for her, I would not have wanted her to spend the $20, but that was what she chose to do, and that's what she wanted to do. And mind you, I even stress, like, I know your financial situation, sweetheart, please. But like I said to you all in the video, I don't want to steal her glory, because I also know that when someone really wants to give you a gift, even if you know they're stretching it, you do need to sometimes receive it, because you're messing with their blessing when you do that, because that is a blessing for them to feel that they were able to give you something to put a smile on your face. So I took it. But what I'm saying, whether this was a $2 ring, you know, it was given from her heart. She knew that it was something that would make me happy. So it's not about a dollar figure. Now, granted, some people are that way. I ain't gonna tell you now, you know that. Some people are gonna say, oh my God, you know, my gifts have to cost this much, or my gifts all have to come from this place. Those are very materialistic people, and those are an exception to the rule. Like, sometimes you just have to put them in their place. But what I'm saying is, it's very, very important for a significant other, whichever way it goes, to understand, friendship or whatever, but mostly when it's a significant other, to understand what makes that person happy. Relationships have really taken a turn for the worse with dealing with each other when one is not being satisfied, and there are so many different directions to being satisfied, that it is very, very important that we understand what that means. Now, of course, this is all coming from my perspective, and I'm not nobody's psychologist. I'm not educated in that field at all, other than the life of common sense. Now, I have my master's degree, my doctorate even, in having common sense. I'm thankful for the fact that I have common sense every day of my life, because my common sense have allowed me to get this far in life, okay? Yeah, I'm being very truthful when I say that. So I'm just saying that, to me, it makes sense. But I know for some, it makes no sense whatsoever. They don't get it at all. But I know that people sit and hurt in silence, but they never will admit it to themselves, because they feel that they're being like, well, you know, my significant other is doing this, this, and this for me. I'm supposed to be grateful. And it's not that you're not grateful for the things that they're doing to you. Don't get me wrong. That's not the case. But when you want to put a smile on my face, acknowledge the things that I love. know that, you know, like for example, I'm a James Avery fanatic. I haven't had James Avery. Now my son, mind you, is my James Avery giver. But anybody that like know me would say, well, dang, you know, you can almost get her a piece of James Avery and she would go off the darn, you know, hinge. Like she'd be like jumping for joy. I love designer bags. You know, I freaking love designer bags, okay? So yeah. I know that's out on a limb. Like that's not something you would ask for every day. I give you an example. This bag right here. This bag right here. Now, when I was gifted this bag, this came to me as a Mother's Day present. This is actually the first time I actually got something that really meant something to me. It's the first and the only time. Now, I was jumping for joy when I was told, hey, go get this bag. Why? Because whenever I've mentioned that I love designer bags and the price tag comes up, now mind you, some of them I know are quite stiff in price because I still want my Louis Vuitton. You know, I want my not delightful. What is it? I can't think of it right now, but y'all know what I'm talking about. I do still want that bag, and I'm gonna get that bag at some point. I don't know when, but at some point I'm gonna get it. But I wouldn't ask that's one of those bags that I'm not gonna ask you for. You know, like I'm not gonna be like every day hounding, oh, I want this bag, I won't take anything else. But I will say this, if the finances are there and the timing is right, there is no harm in me being gifted a bag like that from my significant other, because of the fact that it's something that I have wanted for a long time. Meaning, now, some people say, like, you know, you hear this all the time, like I'll use golfing versus getting a designer bag. For the person who likes to go out and golf, golfing can get quite expensive. You know, I golf, I know how much it costs, especially, you know, like when you factor in, you pay for the cart, you pay for to play, and then you're gonna go with the fellas, or, you know, whatever, afterwards and have a few drinks. Like a whole day of golfing can cost you well over $100. Now that can be done on a weekly basis. Okay, what's going on up here? If it's done on a weekly basis, let's just say 4 weeks in a month, so that's $400 a month. Now, if you times that by a few, because this happens all the time, then you're spending on your own something that you love, and you're spending just as much, if not more, than what it would cost to just purchase the bag of your significant other's dreams. So that's why I'm saying, like, you do have to put things in perspective. Yes, to you it might be really crazy, but to that person, if it's something that they really, really want, then they deserve to have it. You know, and you can afford it. Like, I mean, you know, and it's not, like, again, I will stress, it's not about the money. I'm not saying that you need to go out here and spend thousands of dollars every single time. But what I'm saying is, again, I stress when I made the comment that if it's in your budget, if, you know, if it's the right timing, you know, and I use the Louis Vuitton as an example, but it, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be something on that level. You know, I'm just using that as an example. So the moral of the story is, ladies and gentlemen, significant others of the world, please be cognizant of what your other person wants, because it is the gift to them, not the gift to yourself. When you're doing things, giving things, or, you know, and it's not about just giving the gift, it's about treating the person, you know, which I didn't emphasize on that very much, but just kind of got off on a little tangent. But it's like the doing things for that person. Like, okay, so you might like to what am I trying? I'm trying to think of something right now. You know, like when I mentioned like the cooking thing, that's something that's not a gift. Like you're buying something for someone. That is just as important, if not more important, than the gift giving to someone. Doing things that a person would love, like say, like if you're cooking and you know that the person really likes steak, for example, then but you only make steak like one, like when the person just bags and bags and bags. But you make all this other random stuff, weird stuff, whatever, you know, because you're like, oh, I want to make this and I want to make that and I want to try this and I want to try that. But you're not thinking about like what the person that you're cooking for, like what they might want to have. Again, these are all scenarios of being cognizant and knowing what the other one wants. So again, I stress, just be cognizant of what makes another person happy, and know that when you do things, give things or whatever, that make sure that the person that you're giving to, doing for, are considered in the whole act of giving or doing, because they're the person that really matters. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me on my ride home today. I hope somewhere in this point that you were listening to this video that you thought, oh, I need to hit that subscribe button. I need to check this girl out more often. And make sure you hit that notification bell, because this way you will know each and every time I'm on camera.